In the year 2125, Earth had become a bustling hub of advanced technology and exploration. Humanity had reached beyond the stars, establishing colonies on Mars, Jupiter's moons, and even distant exoplanets. Yet, despite all the advancements, humanity was unprepared for what happened next. It all began when a colossal spaceship, unlike anything ever seen, appeared in orbit above Earth. When the spaceship evaporated, the victims seemed unable to prevent the ship, and the ship was sleek and metallic with glowing patterns that shifted like a living organism across its surface. It was called the Vindicator, and it had come without warning. At first, governments around the world assumed it was a hostile threat. Warships were scrambled, defenses were activated, and the world braced for an attack. But no attack came. Yo, message was Instead, a message was broadcasted on all frequencies. In every known language, we come seeking refuge. We are not here to atone. The message was sent by a single alien, a being who called himself Kyren. He claimed to be the last of his kind, a species that had once ruled the galaxy with an iron fist, enslaving entire civilizations and ravaging planets. Now, he was the sole survivor of a civil war that had consumed his people from within, a war brought on by their own lust for power. Kyren's voice carried a sorrow that was almost tangible, and he begged for humanity's help. Despite the initial distrust, the United Nations finally allowed Kyren to descend to Earth under strict supervision. A massive armored chamber was prepared, and Kyren, a tall, slender creature with silver skin and eyes that seemed to hold the weight of countless centuries, was brought down under heavy guard. His ship remained in orbit, unmoving. Kyren explained his purpose. He sought redemption. His race, the Zavrons, had once been conquerors, leaving a trail of destruction across the cosmos. But Kyren was different. He had seen the destruction firsthand, and when his own people turned on each other, he had fled with only the knowledge of his people's history and the guilt of their crimes. He believed that if he could find a way to help a civilization grow without conflict, he might atone for the sins of his kind. The United Nations agreed to a cautious alliance. Kyren would share his knowledge, technology, and resources with humanity, but he would be monitored, and his ship remained under constant surveillance. Slowly, Kyren began to assist Earth. He shared advanced medical technology, extending human lifespans and curing diseases. He provided energy sources that revolutionized space travel. And for years, it seemed that Kyren was truly sincere. But then, things began to change. The reports of strange sightings began to emerge. Alien figures glimpsed in the shadows, secret experiments taking place in remote regions, and odd signals intercepted by Earth's deep space monitors. Kyren dismissed them as rumors, fabrications designed to spread fear. But the reports grew too frequent to ignore. The governments demanded answers, and Kyren's peaceful demeanor started to crack. He seemed more withdrawn, almost nervous, and his once gentle voice held a hint of desperation. Then, out of nowhere, came the distress signal. It was broadcasted from Kyren's ship, the Vindicator, in a strange, panicked voice that did not belong to him. The signal spoke of a coming disaster, a threat that had followed Kyren to Earth, a remnant of his people's war, a group that had survived and was hunting him down. The signal claimed that these remnants were hiding in plain sight, disguising themselves as humans and infiltrating Earth's society. The world was thrown into chaos. Panic spread as suspicion turned neighbors against one another. Was it true? Were there Zyrons living among them? The distress signal, cut off mid-broadcast, was enough to bring the world's leaders to demand an explanation from Kyren. But he was nowhere to be found. That was when Elliot Hayes, a young investigative journalist, decided to take matters into his own hands. He had been one of the few people allowed to interview Kyren when he first arrived, and he remembered the alien's haunted eyes. Convinced that Kyren was hiding something, Elliot began to follow a trail of clues: unusual energy readings, secret military bases, and strange disappearances that seemed to connect back to Kyren's arrival. After weeks of searching, Elliot discovered an underground facility beneath a remote mountain range. It was a secret lab, hidden from even the highest-ranking officials, and it was filled with alien technology that matched the designs of Kyren's ship. But it wasn't Kyren who had built it. The facility was a makeshift prison. And at its center was Kyren himself, weak and restrained, surrounded by machines siphoning energy from his body. Elliot managed to free Kyren, who revealed the truth in a labored whisper. They had arrived on Earth long before he had, hiding among humanity, waiting for the right moment to strike. They were the ones who had sent the distress signal, hoping to frame Kyren as the threat, to turn humanity against him before he could warn them. But the worst revelation was still to come. Kyren's energy was the key. His body held the codes to ancient weapons hidden within his ship, weapons powerful enough to end any conflict. Remnants needed him alive, but barely, to activate those codes. Elliot, stunned by the betrayal of Earth's own secret agencies, agreed to help Kyren return to the Vindicator. They had to get to the ship before the remnants did. The final chase was a desperate rush. Elliot and Kyren were hunted by those who were supposed to protect them, humans who had sided with the remnants, seduced by promises of power. As they fought their way to a secret launch facility, Kyren grew weaker. His silver skin dulled and his voice became a whisper, yet he never stopped urging Elliot forward. They reached the ship just in time, and Kyren, using the last of his strength, managed to disable the remnants' access codes. He collapsed, leaving the ship's fate in Elliot's hands. Suddenly, a massive fleet of Zahron ships appeared in Earth's orbit, decloaking one by one. The remnants had finally revealed themselves, ready to strike. With Kyren's guidance, Elliot activated the Vindicator's defense systems. A pulse of energy shot out, disabling the enemy ships without harming a single life. The remnants, now powerless, were forced to retreat, their plan shattered. As the last of the Zahan fleet vanished into the void, Kyren lay dying, his eyes fixed on the stars above. With his final breath, he told Elliot that redemption wasn't about erasing the past, but about ensuring the future was better. He had done what he could, and now it was up to humanity. The world would never be the same. Kyren's legacy lived on in the technology he had shared, in the cures he had brought, and in the warning he had given. The remnants were still out there, scattered and weakened, but humanity now knew they were not alone. They knew that trust could be as dangerous as it was precious, and Elliot, now a hero and a voice of caution, stood by Kyren's grave, watching the stars, wondering if they would ever truly be safe. Yet, he knew that somewhere out there, Kyren's spirit watched over them, a guardian who had found his redemption in the most unexpected of places, on a small blue planet that had once feared him. The Vindicator remained in orbit, its lights dimmed, a silent protector above Earth, a symbol of forgiveness and a reminder that even the darkest past could lead to brighter tomorrows. Yeah,